Hey guys, welcome to day 242 of the Bilinear Plan. Today, we will be reading Ezra 7 through 10, Revelation 4, and Psalm 97. If you need to read more about this plan, visit the High Quality Gospel website with the link in the description of the episode and the podcast. Please leave a like and follow the podcast to stay up to date with new episodes. Now, let's begin with reading Ezra 7. After these events, during the reign of King Artaxerxes of Persia, Ezra, Seraiah's son, Azariah's son, Hilkiah's son, Shallum's son, Zadok's son, Ahitub's son, Amariah's son, Azariah's son, Mariathoth's son, Zerahiah's son, Uzzi's son, Buki's son, Abishua's son, Phinehas's son, Eleazar's son, the chief priest Aaron's son, came up from Babylon. He was a scribe skilled in the law of Moses, which the Lord, the God of Israel, had given. The king had granted him everything he requested, because the hand of the Lord his God was on him. Some of the Israelites, priests, Levites, singers, gatekeepers, and temple servants accompanied him to Jerusalem in the 7th year of King Artaxerxes. Ezra came to Jerusalem in the 5th month during the 7th year of the king. He began the journey from Babylon on his 1st day of the month, and arrived in Jerusalem on the 1st day of the 5th month, since the gracious hand of his God was on him. Now Ezra had determined in his heart to study the law of the Lord, obey it, and teach its statutes and ordinances in Israel. This is the text of the letter King Artaxerxes gave to Ezra the priest and scribe, an expert in matters of the Lord's commands and statutes for Israel. Artaxerxes, king of kings, to Ezra the priest, an expert in the law of the God of the heavens. Greetings. I issue a decree that any of the Israelites in my kingdom, including their priests and Levites, who want to go to Jerusalem, may go with you. You are sent by the king and his 7 counselors to evaluate Judah and Jerusalem according to the law your God, which is in your possession. You are also to bring the silver and gold the king and his counselors have willingly given to the God of Israel, whose dwelling is in Jerusalem, and all the silver and gold you receive throughout the province of Babylon, together with the freewill offerings given by the people and the priests to the house of their God in Jerusalem. Then you are to be diligent to buy with this money bulls, rams, and lambs, along with their grain and drink offerings, and offer them on the altar at the house of your God in Jerusalem. You may do whatever seems best to you and your brothers with the rest of the silver and gold, according to the will of your God. Deliver to the God of Jerusalem all the articles given to you for the service of the house of your God. You may use the royal treasury to pay for anything else needed for the house of your God. I, King Artaxerxes, issue a decree to all the treasuries in the region west of the Euphrates River. Whatever Ezra the priest and expert in the law of the God of the heavens asks of you must be provided in full, up to 7,500 pounds of silver, 500 bushels of wheat, 550 gallons of wine, 550 gallons of oil, and salt without limit. Whatever is commanded by the God of heavens must be done diligently for the house of the God of the heavens, so that wrath will not fall on the realm of the king and his sons. Be advised that you do not have authority to impose tribute, duty, and land tax on any priests, Levites, singers, doorkeepers, temple servants, or other servants of this house of God. And you, Ezra, according to God's wisdom that you possess, appoint magistrates and judges to judge all the people in the region west of the Euphrates, who know the laws of your God, and to teach anyone who does not know them. Anyone who does not keep the law of your God and the law of the king, let the appropriate judgment be executed against him, whether death, banishment, confiscation of property, or imprisonment. Blessed be the Lord, the God of our ancestors, who has put it into the king's mind to glorify the house of the Lord in Jerusalem, and who has shown favor to me before the king, his counselors, and all his powerful officers. So I took courage because I was strengthened by the hand of the Lord my God, and I gathered Israelite leaders to return with me. These are the family heads and the genealogical records of those who returned with me from Babylon during the reign of King Artaxerxes. Gershom from Phinehas's descendants, Daniel from Ithamar's descendants, Hattush from David's descendants, who was of Shechaniah's descendants, Zechariah from Parosh's descendants, and 150 men with him who were registered by genealogy. Eliohenai, son of Zerahiah, from Pahath Moab's descendants, with 200 men with him. Shechaniah, son of Jahaziel, from Zattu's descendants, and 300 men with him. Ebed, son of Jonathan, and Adin's descendants, and 50 men with him. Jeshiah, son of Athaliah, from Elam's descendants, and 70 men with him. Zebediah, son of Michael, from Shephatiah's descendants, and 80 men with him. Obadiah son of Jehiel from Joab's descendants, and 218 men with him. Shelomith son of Josaphiah from Bani's descendants, and 160 men with him. Zechariah son of Bebai from Bebai's descendants, and 28 men with him. Johanan son of Hakkaton's from Asgad's descendants, and 110 men with him. These are the last ones from Adonakim's descendants, and their names are Eliphelet, Juel, and Shemaiah, with 60 men with him. Uthai and Zakur from Bigvai's descendants, and 70 men with him. I gathered them at the river that flows to Ahava, and we camped there for 3 days. I searched among the people and priests, but found no Levites there. Then I summoned the leaders, Eleazar, Ariel, Shemaiah, Elnathan, Jarib, Elnathan, Nathan, Zechariah, and Meshullam, as well as the teachers Joiarib and Elnathan. I sent them to Edo, the leader of Casiphia, with a message for him and his brothers, the temple servants at Casiphia, that they should bring us ministers for the house of our God, since the gracious hand of our God was on us. They brought us Sherebiah, a man of insight from the descendants of Mahli, a descendant of Levi son of Israel, along with his sons and brothers, 18 men, plus Hashabiah, along with Jeshiah from the descendants of Merari, and his brothers and their sons, 20 men. There were also 220 of the temple servants who had been appointed by David, and the leaders for the work of the Levites. All were identified by name. I proclaimed a fast by the Ahava river so that we might humble ourselves before God and ask him for a safe journey for us, our dependents, and all our possessions. I did this as I was ashamed to ask the king for infantry and cavalry to protect us from the enemies during the journey, since we had told him, "The hand of our God is gracious to all who seek him, but his fierce anger is against all who abandon him." So we fasted and pleaded with our God about this, and he was receptive to our prayer. I selected 12 of the leading priests along with Sherebiah, Hashabiah, and 10 of their brothers. I weighed out to them the silver, the gold, and the articles of the contribution for the house of our God that the king, his counselors, his leaders, and all the Israelites who were present had offered. I weighed out to them 24 tons of silver articles weighing 7,500 pounds, 7,500 pounds of gold, 20 gold bowls worth 1,000 gold coins, and 2 articles of fine gleaming bronze as valuable as gold. Then I said to them, "You are holy to the Lord, and the articles are holy. The silver and gold are a freewill offering to the Lord God of your ancestors. Guard them carefully until you weigh them out in the chambers of the Lord's house before the leading priests, Levites, and the heads of the Israelite families in Jerusalem." So the priests and Levites took charge of the silver and the gold and the articles that had been weighed out, to bring them to the house of our God in Jerusalem. We set out from the Ahava River on the 12th day of the first month to go to Jerusalem. We were strengthened by our God, and he kept us from the grasp of the enemy and from the ambush along the way. So we arrived at Jerusalem and rested there for 3 days. On the 4th day, the silver, the gold, and the articles were weighed out in the house of our God into the care of the priest Meremoth, son of Uriah. Eleazar, son of Phinehas, was with him. The Levites Jozabad, son of Jeshua, and Noadiah, son of Binui, were also with him. Everything was verified by number and weight, and the total weight was recorded at that time. The exiles who had returned from the captivity offered burnt offerings to the God of Israel, 12 bulls for all Israel, 96 rams, and 77 lambs, along with the 12 male goats as a sin offering. All of this was burnt offering for the Lord. They also delivered the king's edicts to the royal satraps, the governors of the region west of the Euphrates River, so that they would support the people and the house of God. After these things had been done, the leaders approached me and said, "The people of Israel, the priests and the Levites, have not separated themselves from the surrounding peoples, whose detestable practices are like those of the Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Jebusites, Ammonites, Moabites, Egyptians, and Amorites. Indeed, the Israelite men have taken some of their daughters as wives for themselves and their sons, so that the holy seed has become mixed with the surrounding peoples. The leaders and officials have taken the lead in this unfaithfulness." When I heard this report, I tore my tunic and robe, pulled out some of the hair from my head and beard, and sat down devastated. Everyone who trembled at the words of the God of Israel gathered around me because of the unfaithfulness of the exiles, while I sat devastated until the evening offering. At the evening offering, I got up from my time of humiliation with my tunic and robe torn. Then I fell on my knees and spread up my hands to the Lord my God, and I said, "My God, I am ashamed and embarrassed to lift my face towards you. My God, because of our iniquities are higher than our heads, and our guilt is high as the heavens. Our guilt has been terrible from the days of our ancestors until the present. Because of our iniquities, we have been handed over, along with our kings and priests, to the surrounding kings and to the sword, captivity, plundering, and open shame, as it is today. But now, for a brief moment, grace has come from the Lord our God to preserve a remnant for us and to give us a stake in this holy place. Even in our slavery, God has given us little relief and light to our eyes. Though we are slaves, our God has not abandoned us in our slavery. He has extended grace to us in the presence of the Persian kings, giving us relief, so that we can rebuild the house of our God and repair its ruins, to give us a wall in Judah and Jerusalem. Now, our God, what can we say in light of this? For we have abandoned the commands you have gave through your servants the prophets, saying, the land you are entering to possess is an impure land. The surrounding peoples have filled it from end to end with their uncleanness, by their impurity and detestable practice. Now, so do not give your daughters to their sons in marriage, or take their daughters for your sons. Never pursue their welfare or prosperity, so that you will be strong. Eat the good things of the land, and leave it as an inheritance to your sons forever. After all, that has happened to us because of our evil deeds and terrible guilt, though you, our God, have punished us less than our iniquities deserve, and have allowed us to survive. Should we break your commands again and intermarry with the peoples who commit these detestable practices? Wouldn't you become so angry with us that you would destroy us, leaving neither remnant nor survivor? Lord God of Israel, you are righteous, for we survive as a remnant today. Here we are before you with our guilt, though no one can stand in your presence because of this. While Ezra prayed and confessed, weeping and falling face down before the house of God, an extremely large assembly of Israelite men, women, and children gathered around him. The people also wept bitterly. Then Shechaniah, son of Jehiel, an Elamite, responded to Ezra, we have been unfaithful to our God by marrying foreign women from the surrounding peoples, but there is still hope for Israel in spite of this. Therefore, let's make a covenant before God to send away all the foreign wives and their children, according to the counsel of my Lord, and of those who tremble at the command of our God. Let it be done according to the law. Get up for this matter is your responsibility, and we support you. Be strong and take action. Then Ezra got up and made the leading priests, Levites, and all Israel take an oath to do what has been said. So they took the oath. Ezra then went from the house of God and walked to the chamber of Jehohanan, son of Elishab, where he spent the night. He did not eat food or drink water, because he was mourning over the unfaithfulness of the exiles. They circulated a proclamation throughout Judah and Jerusalem that all the exiles should gather at Jerusalem. Whoever did not come within 3 days would forfeit all his possessions, according to the decision of the leaders and elders, and would be excluded from the assembly of the exiles. So all the men of Judah and Benjamin gathered in Jerusalem within 3 days. On the 20th day of the 9th month, all the people sat in the square at the house of God, assembling, because of this matter, and because of the heavy rain. Then the priest Ezra stood up and said to them, You have been unfaithful by marrying foreign women, adding to Israel's guilt. Therefore make a confession to the Lord, the God of your ancestors, and do his will. Separate yourselves from the surrounding peoples and your foreign wives. Then all the assembly responded loudly, Yes, we will do as you say. But there are many people, and it's the rainy season. We don't have the stamina to stay put in the open. This isn't something that can be done in a day or two, for we have rebelled terribly in this matter. Let our leaders represent the entire assembly. Then all those in our towns who have married foreign women come to appointed times, together with the elders and judges of each town, in order to avert the fierce anger of our God concerning this matter. Only Jonathan, son of Asahel, and Jehiel, son of Tikvah, opposed this, with Meshullam and Shabbathai, the Levite, supporting them. The exiles did what had been proposed. The priest Ezra selected men who were family heads, all identified by name, to represent their ancestral families. They convened on the first day of the 10th month to investigate the matter, and by the first day of the first month they had dealt with all the men who had married foreign women. The following were found to have married foreign women from the descendants of the priests, from the descendants of Jeshua son of Jozadak, and his brothers, Maaseiah, Eleazar, Jarib, and Gedaliah. They pledged to send their wives away, and being guilty, they offered a ram from the flock for their guilt. Hanani and Zebediah from Emer's descendants, Maaseiah, Elijah, Shemaiah, Jehiel, and Uzziahs from Harim's descendants, Elionai, Maaseiah, Ishmael, Nathaniel, Jozabad, and Elish from Pashur's descendants. The Levites, Jozabad, Shammai, Keliah, that is, Kelida, Pethahiah, Judah, and Eleazar. The singers, Elishib. The gatekeepers, Shallum, Telem, and Uri. The Israelites, Parosh's descendants, Ramiah, Isaiah, Malchijah, Mijamin, Eleazar, Malchijah, and Benaniah. Elam's descendants, Mattaniah, Zechariah, Jehiel, Abdi, Jerimoth, and Elijah. Zattu's descendants, Elionai, Elishib, Mattaniah, Jerimoth, Zabad, and Azizah. Bebai's descendants, Jehohanan, Hananiah, Zabai, and Athai. Benai's descendants, Meshullam, Maluk, Adiah, Jashub, Sheel, and Jeremoth. Pahath Moab's descendants: Adnah, Kilel, Benaiah, Messiah, Mattaniah, Bezalel, Benui, and Manasseh. Harim's descendants: Eleazar, Ishiah, Malchijah, Shemaiah, Shimeon, Benjamin, Maluk, and Shemariah. Hashum's descendants: Mattanai, Mattatah, Zabad, Eliphelet, Jeremiah, Manasseh, and Shemai. Bani's descendants: Madai, Amram, Uel, Benaiah, Bediah, Kelui, Vaniah, Merimoth, Elishib, Mattanai, Jesu, Bani, Benui, Shemai, Shelemiah, Nathan, Adiah, Machanedebai, Shashai, Sharai, Azarel, Shelemiah, Shemariah, Shalom, Amariah, and Joseph. Neba's descendants: Jeiel, Mattathiah, Zabad, Zabina, Zabdi, Joel, and Benaiah. All of these had married foreign women, and some of the wives had given birth to children. Now we read Revelation 4. After this I looked, and there in heaven was an open door. The first voice that I heard speaking to me like a trumpet said, "Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after this." Immediately I was in the Spirit, and there was a throne in heaven, and someone was seated on it. The one seated there had the appearance of jasper and carnelian stone. A rainbow that had the appearance of an emerald surrounding the throne. Around the throne were 24 thrones, and on the thrones sat 24 elders, dressed in white clothes, with golden crowns on their heads. Flashes of lightning and rumblings and peals of thunder came from the throne. 7 fiery torches were burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. Something like a sea of glass, similar to crystal, was also before the throne. 4 living creatures covered with eyes in front and in back were around the throne on each side. The first living creature was like a lion, the second living creature was like an ox, the third living creature had a face like a man, and the fourth living creature was like a flying eagle. Each of the 4 living creatures had 6 wings. They were covered with eyes around and inside. Day and night they never stopped, saying, "Holy, holy, holy, Lord God the Almighty, who was, who is, and who is to come." Whenever the living creatures give glory, honor, and thanks to the one seated on the throne, the one who lives forever and ever, the 24 elders fall down before the one seated on the throne, and worship the one who lives forever and ever. They cast their crowns before the throne and say, "Lord and God, you are worthy to receive glory and honor and power, because you have created all things, and by your will they exist and were created." Now we read Psalm 97. The Lord reigns, let the earth rejoice, let the many coasts and inlands be glad. Clouds and total darkness surround him. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of his throne. Fire goes before him and burns up his foes on every side. His lightning lights up the world. The earth sees and trembles. The mountains melt like wax at the presence of the Lord of the whole earth. The heavens proclaim his righteousness. All the people see his glory. All who serve carved images, those who boast in worthless idols, will be put to shame. All the gods must worship him. Zion hears and is glad. Judah's villages rejoice because of your judgments, Lord. For you, Lord, are the most high over the whole earth, and are exalted above all the gods. You who love the Lord hate evil. He protects the lives of his faithful ones. He rescues them from the power of the wicked. Light dawns for the righteous, gladness for the upright in heart. Be glad in the Lord, you righteous ones, and give thanks to his holy name. On day 241, we finished the book of Esther, and in Revelation, we examined the letters to the specific churches. Today, we complete Ezra. Ezra has recorded many events and situations that transpire around the rebuilding of Jerusalem. This is a time of revival. Ezra outlined the feelings of the people when they returned to Jerusalem after the exile, both good and bad. When it was time to begin reconstruction on the temple, the people faced problems and adversaries that kept them from building. But God's will be done, and he encourages Israel to keep going and continue their build. Ezra comes to Jerusalem at the command of King Artaxerxes. He brought with him many valuables and materials to rebuild the temple and the walls of the city. In this last section of reading of Ezra, we see that Ezra detailed all of the people that came back from exile. But the issue is that none of these people have truly separated themselves from the Gentile world. Remember, that has to be a big portion of the lifestyle of Israel. They must follow the law of God, and the law of God teaches an intense separation between God's people and the world. They have not done so. They have become part of the world. And so, Ezra leads Jerusalem and the rest of Israel to confess their sin, to confess their inability to follow the law of God on their own. And this was the issue. Yes, God made them leave Israel. He exiled them because they have not followed His word while they were in the very nation He gave them. But they also did not learn their lesson, it seems. Yes, they might have worshipped God, but they didn't do it properly. They didn't do it the way that He gave Moses and then gave Israel. They went and worshipped God in their own way, in their own nation. So, they come together and confess their sin. They come together and dedicate themselves once again to the following of God's word. This is the revival. This is what God desired. He wanted them to leave, understand why they had to leave, and then come back with a new sense of following. They have finally come and decided to rebuild their nation focused on God. So it is a very intense time of revival. Reviving the temple, reviving the walls of Jerusalem, reviving the nation, and reviving their spirits. For they failed long ago, but now have the chance to return to God and follow Him. In Revelation, we transition from being a letter to specific churches to setting the stage for the rest of the book. Now, there's not much to say about it, but it clarifies the worshiping crowd that surrounds Christ in heaven. In this vision, we see a very kingly version of Christ, since He has come down to earth, fulfilled His mission, and sits as a ruler over His people. Many hosts in this vision worship Christ, and there is meaning to all of these, but not only am I not knowledgeable enough to discuss it, but there are also many interpretations of these things. The main things from this section is that we are witnessing the ruling authority of Christ, and future events that transpire are of His will. He is being worshipped like a king, and His will be fulfilled as a king's will. Lastly, in Psalm, we see a psalm that also discusses the kingship of God. He is almighty, and all the earth should worship Him. It says that the whole earth should rejoice and be glad that God is ruler of all. He is a righteous God, one that disciplines His enemies and protects His people. We can have hope and assurance that all of these things will happen, for He is a good, righteous, and just God. Thank you for joining in the reading and understanding of these chapters, and let us all be vigilant in continuing this reading. Please share, like, follow, or whatever you can do to help us reach more people with the Bible reading. Please also check out the High Quality Gospel website for more information and a couple of store items. Thank you, and keep learning.